Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk with the Titans, live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Kalam, and this is Talk with the Titans. On today's show even, wow, you know what, yeah, we've got a phenomenal show for you. We're actually talking about the Kemetic Creed. What is it that Kemetics believe in? Who are these Kemetics? What they believe in? What is their creed? Like, we really need to get into the crux of that, like, because it's so elusive nowadays. It's so elusive. What is it? So finally, you're going to actually tie us down to what is it that these Kemetics actually believe in and what is their purpose? What are they trying to do? We're going to get into that really, really soon. First of all, I would just like to welcome my brothers who are here with me right now. I've got my brother GABZ with me. I see it. I got my brother GABZ with me, and I've also got my brother Sarah with me as well. Peace, King Hotep.
Peace. What's popping, bro?
Peace, Hotep to the family, peace.
All right. I love that. Also, I just want to give a big shout out to my family who's tuned in right now. I know we're doing like some early show. This is like some exclusives for you guys. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy this show. I'm going to shout out everybody who's actually with us right now. So, part of Inda Nijar, shouts to you. Now, Cad, shouts to you. Jonah Hayes, shouts out to you. Contents over everything. Oh my gosh. Tell me. Listen. Have you not been watching content over everything? Sarah done like a 12-part interview, little breakdown. A whole interview broke down into 12 little parts, and it was just phenomenal, man. Trust me. Let me know if you've not been watching it, and let me know in the comment section what you think about the things that Sarah was saying in there, because that was mind-blowing. Content over everything is doing their thing. Supports to them. Bigger Valley in the building as well. Supports to you lot as well, family. So, who's here with me, man? Who's here with me? Are we ready to go into this, man? Okay, this one here is going to go down in the history books for real. So what I'm going to ask you, my audience members, what can you do right now for us is to please hit the share button, because we don't usually do shows this early. So hit the share button, let everybody know that we're live right now on Titans TV. We've got my brother GABZ, we've got my brother Sarah on here, and we're talking Kemet. Okay, we're talking that Kemet stuff, all right, that you lot love to hate to love, or just love full stop, because you know what it is. All right, family, so please hit the share button and give us some likes as well. Let's get it in. And of course, if you got anything to say to us right now, just literally tag Titans TV, okay, with your question, with your comment, and I'll make sure to read it out live on air. Okay, let's get you guys represented. All right, so family, we're talking Kemetic Creed. What is it that these Kemetics actually believe in? So number one, I have to ask this question. What is Kemet? Let me know. What is Kemet?
Right, I will do that. I will let you guys know what Kemet is. So we're going to read from our creed now. Okay. Kemet is an ancient African word denoting blackness. We utilize it today in correlation with its three ancient usages of black land, black people, black woman. The third usage in its modern context is to do with indigenous black African philosophy, as the black woman was the first teacher to shape the child's mind. Therefore, a Kemite or a Kemetic is anyone who is from the black land with ancestry that professes a black African philosophy. So that is a Kemet.
That is a Kemet. Wow. That's powerful right there.
Yep.
That's three things. That's the black land, right? Mm-hmm. That's black ancestry, number two, and then black philosophy, black African philosophy. That's the three things that you need to have to be a Kemetic. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying to me?
That is what I'm saying to you. You have to have a philosophy, a black land, or be of black ancestry. Correct.
All right, I love that. So when you're talking about the black land, is that like the Africa? Is that where can that be? Does that go over to South America, the West Indies, or this? Like, let us know.
Well, if we trace our history, we will know that black people were generally the first everywhere, because they were the first people. So I think the black land extends outside of what is known as Africa, It can extend to South America. It could sometimes extend to North America. It all depends on where those black peoples were and their landmass. However, your philosophy, I know a lot of black people who may be black, but then their philosophy is not. So they wouldn't necessarily be regarded as a Kemet, quote unquote, or someone who is Kemetic, because Kemetic means black, and all you must encompass black philosophy, black genetics, and be from a black land.
Love that. Love that. Also, when we're talking about black philosophy, African philosophy, like is this like any different African philosophy, whether you're Ifa, you're part of the Ifa system, the Bar Congo, tell us like the Abosom in Ghana, like is it all of that? Is that all inclusive, or is it a particular philosophy?
It is all inclusive. It does not discriminate. It does not set a hierarchy for the best black spiritual system. It encompasses all, and we want to learn from all. So we could learn from the Nile Valley one day, and then we could learn from the Yoruba one day. We could learn from the Zulu one day. It doesn't matter. African philosophy is the main philosophies of a quote unquote Kemet. And we use the word Kem or Kemet because it actually denotes blackness.
That's right. I love that. I love that because I'm pretty sure in a lot of different cultures, the word for black or blackness is literally the word kham, kam, kem, kemi, and so forth. A lot of us, depending on which part of Africa we're from, or even if we're from the Asiatic lands, we have those similar words that literally means black or blackness. So I like that. I love that breakdown. I love it. So hopefully everybody is clued up to know what a Kemet is, and who can fall under the umbrella of Kemet. Obviously, we're using this word today in its modern usage, how we've particularly coined the word for its modern usage of the black land and its philosophy and its people itself. But of course, in ancient times as well, it was also used, most people think that ancient Egypt was called Kemet. In fact, it wasn't actually called Kemet. It was actually called Kemet Naut. Kemet Naut literally, delineated the actual landmass on the empire that the Kemet Naut, or the town or the city or the empire of Kemet actually was. But when we're talking about Kemet, we're actually talking about, or Kemet, we're actually talking about blackness itself and everything it encompasses. So I love that breakdown. I love that indeed. Hopefully my family out there is getting much more in tune and closer to what Kemet is all about. Now, the second part of the things that we're discussing today is the creed. Like, what is, the creed, basically? Obviously we have different religions that actually profess a creed. We have the Christian religion that they have their creed in Jesus, the Trinity, etc., and believing in God and being baptized and so forth. Then you have Judaism, which has the Shema Israel, Hear O Israel, your Lord is one, etc., etc. These are the things that they hold on to that unite them as one. Obviously, in Islam, they also have something called the Aqidah, which is, the fundamental beliefs, basically. I think they have the 5 different pillars that kind of bond them together, which is the belief in God, belief in angels, belief in the books, the prophets, the day of judgment, and God's predestination. So these are the things that actually, they hold onto themselves. But we're actually going to be talking about what is the Kemetic creed itself. And I'm using the term creed very loosely because we definitely realize that the word creed is the Latin word, which means credo, which means I believe. And I know when we get into this Kemetic creed, I think there is very little that the Kemetics actually believe in. So we're going to be using the word for this particular word. We're going to hold on to more closely to what the Muslims actually call it. They call it Aqidah. The term Aqidah is the word for creed, basically, but it actually comes from the Semitic root, aked, which literally means to knot something. And inside of Kemet itself, they have their own particular creed, okay, or their own particular thing that bonds them together, but it's actually called Keda or Kedu, okay? And that literally means to build, okay? It's the method of actually building. It is also foundation stones, And it also means, you know, as well as foundation stones, as well as building, it also means a disposition, the nature, the character of something. So we're actually going to be talking about the content of our character, what actually builds us and knots us. Okay, that's another word for kedo as well, to actually knot us. So what actually ties and binds us as one people united that share the same foundational building blocks to build our character that keeps us jed, which means stable. Okay, so we're going to go into that. We're actually going to go into that very, very soon. So now I want to know, okay, I want to know, my brothers and sisters out there, okay, what is the purpose today? What is actually the purpose that we're going to be giving you our Kedah or our creed? What is the purpose of it? Okay, what is the intentions of it? Why now, after so long, you know, after so long, why is this finally coming to the forefront? Okay, so Gabs, let me know, why are we actually doing this today?
Yo, bro, peace. Yeah, actually, I'm glad it came. You asked that question at the right time because I want to deal with something that I've seen in the chat. I've seen I want to put this person on blast. They're called EBTV, and one of the things that they said is that this is racism at its best, which is slightly going to tie into why we're actually doing this. Because one thing that I need to let people understand, especially him, is why is it all of a sudden? I think my brother Sarah just broke down the whole meaning of Kemet and it being the black land, just basically talking about Africa and our culture and our philosophy on that land. Yeah. Why is it all of a sudden when we want to speak or express that, people automatically think, oh yeah, they say, oh, you're racist or this is racism. But yet, think about it, we grew up in a country where the first thing we got taught was other people's cultures and their history. You see what I'm saying? Every other culture out there practices their own philosophy, their own history, and their culture. You see what I'm saying? Nobody doesn't go around screaming to everybody else saying, oh, look, the Chinese are racist because they practice their culture, or the Hindus or the Indians are racist because they practice their culture. But all of a sudden, as soon as now we start talking about practicing our culture and stuff, it's all of a sudden racism. Racism on who? On what? I don't understand. I don't get that. So I would like to say to Mr. EBTV, go and look up the meaning of racism, yeah? And take time and relax and digest what we're talking about and understand what we're talking about before you go out shooting your mouth and just throwing out random stuff. This is the reason why we're doing this show, to break down stuff so that people can understand, because we can see there's some people in the community that are lacking a bit of what's the word? What's the word I can use? Lacking some. Okay, then. Thank you, my brother. Some comprehension. So yeah, I just had to get that out. But basically, the reason that we're doing this, like I was just saying, is I've spoke about this before, is that Black Africans, our history and our philosophy has been attacked throughout history. You see what I'm saying? To the point where we don't even know most of our history. Most Black people that you stop on the street don't even they don't know what people to connect to, unless they're from the landmass of Africa or their family are from like the Congo or Nigeria or something. They don't really know the history. Even though they're from that landmass, they still might not even know the history. Like for me, for me as an example, me being a Nigerian, when I was growing up, I didn't really know. I knew I was a Nigerian, obviously, the food, a little bit of the culture, the language, but I didn't know no history. Like I wasn't even fussed. I didn't really care. Do you know what I mean? So the reason that we're actually doing this is to bring Black people or Black youth, and not even just the youth, the elders as well, back into their history as a foundation marker, to understand that this is your history, this is your culture. Yeah, we have stories and philosophy in this culture. Yeah, and it's something that we need to share with the youth in the community. There's nothing wrong in that. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? You can see that there's a lot of Black Africans that delve into different cultures and different practices, but they don't really know their own. And the thing is, this is very important, because if my child is going to be stopped in the street and say, "Excuse me," and someone says to them, "Excuse me, what's your history? What's your culture?" And then he looks at them and says, "You know what? I don't really know. You know, my dad hasn't really told me anything." That's gonna make me, the parent, look bad. I don't know my own history. My child don't know his own history. Don't know none of his cultures, none of his philosophy. Doesn't make no sense. So to me, this is very, 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 very important to the people. not just for black people, for every culture out there. Do you know what I mean? Because this is worldwide information. You know what I mean? People can understand the history of black people the same way we understand the history and the culture of the Chinese, the Buddhists, the Sikhs, the people in South America, the Native Indians. This is the same thing. This is just another one to add on top of that. Do you know what I mean? So that's all I wanted to say on that.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I don't know, Sarah, did you have anything to add to that?
Gab's covered a lot, man. But yeah, we actually know, but we want to bring back, let's just say, a renaissance in our own philosophies and our own histories and our own stories and our own spiritual systems. We want to bring that renaissance about. We've forgotten too much, and we have now replaced ourselves with other people. And we need to start understanding who we are now before we understand other people.
That's real. That's real. It's far, for me, it's far too long now that we've been in so-called hiding. Like, we're literally been in hiding, where we're feeling ashamed of the things that we actually know to be true, or we hold to be true. We're feeling ashamed of our practices and all these different things here, that we keep it, undercover. We're hiding behind religions and all these other things here. And we're learning about everybody else's philosophy, everybody else's history, everybody else's culture. But we know little to none about our own selves. We can tell you, for those of us who are part of, Christianity or Hebrewism, we can now tell you, Adam had a son. His son was Cain. Cain and Abel had other children. Their children is this children. Abraham had children. He had Isaac, he had Ishmael. Isaac had 12 sons. These are the names, Jacob, and then so forth and so forth, all the way down to Moses. And like, it's so funny. We know all of that history, all of those names, all of that culture. But then when we ask the simple question, oh, so what's your great granddad's name or your great grandmother's name? We don't even have a clue. We don't have a clue about our own history, our own people's names, our own, the greatness that we actually achieved as Black people. We don't know. We don't even have our own language most of the times. We don't know. We don't know all of these things. But every other culture, every other people know themselves. The Chinese, they know themselves. The Hindus, they know themselves. The Buddhists, they know themselves. The Arabs, the Muslims, they know themselves. It's only us as Black people tend not to know ourselves and get to feel shamed for even trying to know ourselves and to be who we used to be in our natural selves. So, it's very imperative for me in this day and time to actually come out in the light and show you guys what we as African people held on to, trusted in and achieved within our pinnacle of greatness. So we're going to go into that right now. All right. So my brother, I like, a lot of the time we're at Speaker's Corner and they're always asking these questions so what is your religion? Like, I want to know, like, from, what is the religion? Like, you Kemetics, what are your religion? Like, what is the religion? What is it exactly?
All right, let's get to what is your religion. There is no word in the Kemetic language for religion. Okay, the closest understanding we have for the term religion would be ma'at, and ma'at means order. That is the closest term you can find for religion in the Kemetic language.
Jeez, okay, so that's the close. So you're saying to me that we never had religion as such?
No, we just had order. We followed an order.
Wow.
There was no and to go on a side note, the reason why we had order, and you see we have order, when you look at ma'at is a series of questions, or you have to answer a series of questions. You're not told what to do. There's no God saying, you shall not do this. When it's time for ma'at, you recite, I have not done this, as if order is already within you and you already know the order. So anytime you go against that order, you are now going against ma'at. You are now going against your own natural order. So the concept of ma'at, Ma'at is a concept that embodies and encompasses the principles of truth, justice, reciprocity, balance, equality, harmony, life, and abundance. Those are just some of the qualities of Ma'at.
I hear that. I hear that.
You can
Listen,
add,
family members
on
out
this,
there,
though.
if
You
you
can add.
yeah, no, I'm saying my family members out there though, like this is some powerful information. Like, let me know that you're feeling this information. I'm not getting the responses back right now. I don't know if you are feeling this information. So if you are feeling this information, like, hit me up with some thumbs up and let me know that you're actually feeling this information. Salute Black Eyes TV. I see you, King. Like, let us know that you're feeling this information. I want to see some likes go up. I want to know, like, I want to get some more comments in the comment section. I want to know what everybody's actually saying with us right now. I want to feel the love. I want to feel the reciprocity. You know, I want to feel that. I want to give something to you and I want to get something back from you guys as well. So let's get it in. All right. You know, my brother just broke down, you know, this polysemic word called ma'at, which is, you know, truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balancement, harmony, abundance, truth. All of these different terminologies, you know, encompasses this one term called ma'at. All right. I want to know, like, does ma'at actually have, you know, what is the opposite of ma'at? What is the opposite of truth? What's the opposite of justice?
So the opposite of ma'at, Gabs, all right, I'll do this and then I'll let Gabs. The opposite of ma'at is Isfet. Okay, and Isfet in the Kemetic language is let's say the antithesis or the counterposition of ma'at, right? And it represents lies, deceit, injustice, poverty, or lack thereof, something. So the purpose of ma'at is to destroy Isfet. So ma'at will bring balance to destroy lies, deceit, injustice, poverty, lack, all of the things that are the antithesis of ma'at.
I was going to add.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what my brother Sarah was saying about Isfet, to put it in into a religious kind of framework. You would see Isfet as your Satan or your demons, or to the Muslim community, the jinn, the shaitan and the jinns. So Isfet represents that, and Ma'at is destroyer of that. So where you have the jinns that come to bring chaos, deceit, lies, injustice, immorality, Ma'at comes to destroy that and wipe that out, basically. So that's just for in a religious framework, so people can understand that is what Isfet is.
Can I just add on that to anyone who doesn't know, Ma'at is actually represented as a black woman. So it's the woman who comes to destroy the lies, deceit, injustice, poverty, because we are not you know, a patriarchal society over here. It's not just about the man. So there's a balance, because it's about balance. So Ma'at is actually a woman. She's a woman who is destroying the stuff.
And let me just add on to that. Like, because you know what, we are a very symbolic people. We're very image related people. So we got to see, we got to see who this person is. We got to see who Ma'at is. Okay, this is Ma'at right here. This is her in her anthropomorphic form, representing the scales of balancement and justice and truth and reciprocity. This is her right here. This is the life-giving queen right here. This is the one that gives us order and justice right here. This beautiful black woman right here is what we consider to be Ma'at in her anthropomorphic form. All right, let's just get that out there. Let's people see the symbols of ancient Egypt. Like, let's see them. Let's get Kemet into your minds right about now. So this is what we're representing right now. We're representing truth, justice, balancement, harmony, and all that good stuff. I want to know, like, so because you're, you Ma'at is your religion. So what exactly do the members of the religion do? Like, what is it? What exactly do you lot do?
He wants to answer that.
Yeah, so
I
don't know, Gabs. I don't know if you know what
is that like going into what people say. What do you believe?
So now that's like saying, what does the adherents do? Like, I know the adherents do certain things.
Well, within that there is, I guess there's ancestral reverence, and there's things like Sankofa, which will be looking back on your history to build forward. I mean, it will go into a lot of things. Like, it will go into, let's say, if I could, let's say,
because I was trying to get to the specific. You know, I know there's a specific things. You know, those people who in Ma'at. I know there's a lot of temples out there who deal with Ma'at, and I know one of those things that they say they do is realize Ma'at and or restore Ma'at, realize, restore, establish Ma'at, and also to destroy Isfet. You know, those are the two things that, you know, they do basically. You know, for those people who are the adherents of Ma'at, the order of Ma'at, the two roles that they actually do play is actually to destroy, completely annihilate anything, any lies, any wrongdoings, any injustice, any poverty, any lack of anything. They try to destroy that completely, uproot it, before they can actually place truth, order, and balancement within inside of its place, basically. And when I see that, like, you two, my brothers, you lot are literally, diametrically opposed, but one in nature. When I look at GABZ and I look at Sarah, yeah, I see GABZ more of the Asar type Haru character, that real nice character, like, yeah, let me give you this, you know, the way is there. And then you got Sarah, who comes in as the disagreeable Satuk set type being, who are there just to chop off heads. Yeah, any lies, that's one thing man doesn't stand for. The one thing he hates more than anything else that he's there to annihilate and destroy is the lies. So in order for Ma'at to be restored and put in its rightful position and place, in order for the black woman to sit on that throne and to lead as Ma'at, first and foremost, you must destroy everything that is wrong, that is evil, that is despicable, that is unjust, all of that. And for me, I see Sarah doing it, and he's attacking religion hard. I think he sees religion as the embodiment of Isfet. So I don't know if anybody could talk on that. Let's just talk on that for a hot second, family.
It's a good segue, bro. It's a good segue. For me, yes, the lies that black people have been told about religion is definitely dear to my heart. It's definitely something that I want to get rid of. You already said, Gab said it, you said it. We've been told for so long, or taught other things for so long, and I'm telling you, we've been taught lies for a very long. We've been taught lies about ourselves. We've been taught lies about who was the originator or the original human beings of the earth. We've been told a bunch of lies that people cannot substantiate, and it's time now, as black people, as African people, to restore my art. It's time to get rid of the lies and restore my art.
Yeah, I'd say just to piggyback on what a brother Sarah was saying is, yeah, man, it's time now, because like I was saying, like, to the brother that put that comment in saying, this is racism at its best. I've been seeing, and a lot of videos we've done, people been throwing out that we're racist and all this stuff because of the stuff that we're bringing out on our culture. And then to me, it just doesn't make no sense. We're here to bring my art, which is truth and balance. We're not here to bring lies. Do you know what I mean? We're here to clean up the mess that all these other cultures have put on our ancestors and on our culture. Do you know what I mean? People that stop and speak to me say, "Oh, bro, but you guys did this and you guys did that," and I'm always like, "No, we didn't do that. It doesn't mean that. You need to understand it this way." So we're basically just here to bring back the right balancement to our culture and our philosophy. Do you know what I mean? So people can understand and have a clear understanding. Because there's one understanding, but there's another thing having a clear understanding of something. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many times I'd have to repeat the same thing because people are just not getting what I'm saying. So it's having a clear understanding of what we're talking about.
Facts. Somebody here says, seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. Actually, ask here, could ma'at be knowledge? Indeed. That is definitely one of her various meanings, which literally means knowledge. In order for you to have truth, you must have knowledge. Okay, that's definitely something. So yes, you're right. That's definitely one of her meanings indeed. Let me just quickly get into this. I just want to get some questions. If anybody's got some quick questions, let me just read them out real quickly. Honey Pharaoh is in the building. Greetings to you, sister. Peace. We've also got Lady Divine in here as well. I love this. We've got quite a lot of people who's tuned in. This is early right about now. This is real early. And I'm glad you guys are actually tuned in with us. Also, peace to Pentecostal ministry. They're showing the love. If you're hitting that's evil, then are you preaching a Euro understanding, which is a Euro understanding which is entirely wrong? Good versus evil. Good versus evil.
No.
Wait.
No. I would
Good versus evil. Well, Isfet is evil. Let's not get it twisted. The word for evil is not actually Isfet. The word for evil is actually bin. Bin is actually the word for evil in ancient Egyptian and Jew, which is wrongdoing as well. But it's Nefer is the term for good in ancient Egypt. Okay, so we would say that Ma'at is Nefer, is something that is good. Definitely would say that, but we're not pitting good against evil. No, we're trying to uproot anything that is misleading our people and actually bring correct, right knowledge to the people. That's fundamental. And somebody talking about racism again, there is no such thing as racism within inside of ancient Egypt. Kemet, one of its foundational rules is one of the four things that Ra actually created or brought into this world was equality for humanity. So all humanity is equal. So there is no such thing as racism as far as I'm aware of. There's no such thing as that. We can talk about that in another context because we know that different people are more meritic. What's the word? Hold more merit than others. Does that make sense? For example, although we are all equal, depending on your level of knowledge, if you're in kindergarten and somebody is in high school, we realize that person has a higher level of knowledge and other things. We can correspond that with other things as well. We don't try to oppress, when we talk about racism, we're not trying to oppress other people. That's one thing we don't do. We're trying to free our people from oppression, and we celebrate other cultures who are practicing what we consider to be ma'at. Okay, what we consider to be truth and justice and so forth. We appreciate those cultures. We had our Hindu brother on the other day, and what he was teaching was ma'at from his own cultural lens and his own people's lens itself. So we can see that, we can appreciate that, and we can learn from each other and share in dialogue with each other. But there's no need for us over here in Kemet or Kemiland to now impose our own understanding and beliefs and things like that onto somebody who is in the Hindu region and their own Hindu philosophy. You got your own philosophy, we have our own philosophy. We can see that we each have some bounds of similitude with each other. We all hold similar truths and we're good. That's it. We could all move on. We're not trying to, as religion does, trying to impose and say, no, your way is wrong. We want to uproot your way and now we want to give you our way. No, we're not trying to do that at all. I don't know if anybody wanted to touch on that. Otherwise, I just wanted to keep it skipping.
Just generally, just quickly on the racism front, there seems to be a very real fear of Black people understanding themselves, a very real one. And it always comes out in people who I would say are fearful of Black people generally, because there's nothing to fear. We have no desire. This racism thing, I've said to people, racism uproots people from whole continents and ships them to another continent, gives them a different name, puts them in a place, whips them, enslaves them, rapes them, castrates them. That's racism, bro. We have no desire to do any of that. We have no desire to oppress anyone, to rape anyone, to enslave anyone, to beat anyone up, to do any of these things to anybody when we are telling you about our system. We have no desire to do that. So why people get scared about Black people finding themselves, to me, shows more about the person than it does about the people trying to show unity amongst themselves.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right. So you know what? I'm going to move on to segue to the next part now, because we know that a lot of people have their own particular beliefs. So I want to know, as Kemetics, as those who practice Ma'at, okay, what exactly do you guys believe in? What do you guys believe in? And this is I'm talking about creed. Okay, I want to know your creed. What are your fundamental beliefs, basically? What are your fundamental beliefs? We know the Muslims, they have, the Shahada, they have what's their articles of faiths again, or they have their 5 pillars of things that they do. I want to know, what is that for you? We have the Christians, they have their own beliefs. They have to believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. They must be baptized, all these different things here. I want to know, what exactly is your belief or your creed?
He's gonna tackle that, guys. You want me to tackle it? I don't mind. All right, guys.
Would tackle that, yeah?
Yeah, you can go and then we can.
Yeah. So basically, on this whole belief thing, because it's a good question that you're bringing, because especially down the speakers' corner, a lot of the Muslim brothers, Christian brothers, and brothers that are just atheists and brothers that just don't care, they ask the question, what is this Kemet thing? Like, what is it you guys believe in? And I tell them, yeah, we don't really deal with belief. So if we're going to deal with the creed, basically, we don't have no beliefs. We just deal with facts and knowing. Although we do have 7 fundamental principles that bind us together. Namely, the 7 principles are: we have the Gnosis, yeah, we have theology, cosmogony, ancestry, pedagogy, ethics, and eschatology. Yeah, those are the 7 fundamental principles that we bind together, that we have. And we're going to have a breakdown. I know me and the brothers, we're going to break down, obviously, what each of them mean.
Deep.
So the first one.
Hold on, before you do that, before you do that, my
sorry.
brother, before you do that, all right, I just want to shout out my brother, because this is going to segue in nicely. Shout out to my brother Jahazil. He's here in the building.
Cheers.
Peace.
King.
Peace to my brother. For those who don't know who Jahazil is, come on, man. He's the multi-mobile, award-winning Christian artist, okay? But guess what happened? Guess what's happened right now? Guess what's happened? People are waking the hell up. He put behind the Christianity and jumped onto Kemet, and it's causing an uproar. But he's asked the question, are you required to believe in unprovable things in Kemet? And the answer to that is...
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. Hell no.
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 Yeah.
I mean, Kalam, you can go into the. I always get this word, Gnosis. If you want to go into what Gnosis is, or Gnosis.
All right. So I'm gonna do it. Me and Gabs is gonna do this together.
Yeah.
So the word Gnosis is literally on a very simple form. It literally means to know, or knowing, basically. Just like you have the word cognitive, you have that cogna bit in there. You see that you have that gnosis in there. Basically, that whole act of actually knowing something. But my brother here is going to break down the 3 different things that we get to know from ourselves. We have to know. We have to know. These are the 3 fundamental knowledge bases that we have to know in Kemet, or we are roused to know, or we are led to know. What are those 3 things, my brother?
Yeah. So the first thing, one of the first things is you have to know thyself. Upon knowing yourself, after knowing yourself, you have to know the universe. Yeah. Then after you know the universe, the next step is to know the gods. I see it, me personally, the way I see that is this: knowing yourself, takes a lot. Because remember, we're living in a world here that people get distracted. You know what I mean? There's Isfet around, causing chaos, and a lot of distractions in the world. And most people, like we were talking about, what we're explaining, don't know themselves. You see what I'm saying? This is the reason why we're even bringing this creed up, because there is a large group of people that don't know themselves. They don't know their history. They don't know their culture. They don't know who they are. Do you know what I mean? So knowing yourself is the first step. Once you know yourself, you can understand. That's like the foundation. Okay, I understand myself. I understand my limits and my limitations. Then after that, you can now go and looking into the universe. What's this around me? Do you know what I mean? What is this that I'm in? Why am I here? Like what's the purpose of the universe? What's the purpose of the earth? What's the purpose of the animals, the birds, and bees, and the trees? And once you do understand that, you would then automatically understand the gods or understand God. It will, because this is how it is. If we're going into the religious framework, even if if we're going through the Christian text, first you had the Spirit of God. Then obviously God created. He created the earth. He created the stars, the moon, the universe, the suns, the planets. Yeah, the animals, the birds, the bees, and the trees. Then after that, he decided to make the human beings to roam on the earth. So now I see it as a flip reverse. We now have to go make our way up. So we have to learn ourselves first, then the plants, the earth, then the universe, obviously the creation, to then know the God. Because that's the only way you're going to know this creator, through the creation. You will know the creator through what they have created. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the creator isn't going to be speaking directly to you. So you have to use the resources that are there in the world and in the universe to understand. So that's what I get from that. That's my understanding of what I get from that.
Can I
All
add on
right.
to that? Oh, sorry, go, Kalam.
Yeah, go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Because people are going to say, oh, but that's God, and they're going to say God is a belief, right? I think that's what people are going to say. So when we say know the gods in African cultural spiritual systems, you will find that gods are generally principles that we know of. So Ma'at being a goddess, yeah, is representing principles, truth, righteousness, justice, balance. So you will anthropomorphize principles as God, if that makes sense to people. So when we say, once Kaz was saying know the universe, right, and know its creation, what happened is in our systems is that we got to know the creation, right? So we saw that the scarab beetle did a certain thing, right? We saw that the ram did a certain thing. We saw that the lion did a certain thing. The principles of a lion, the principles of a ram, the principles of water, the principles of air. And then what we done is that we anthropomorphized the principles into God. So then you had Shu, you had Geb, which was the earth, right? Then you had all of these quote unquote principles. So when it says know the gods and know in the universe, they are basically intertwined, basically.
That's right. That's right. 100%.
So
100%, my brother. I love that.
so
See, whereas, the difference between, I love this, is the difference between a lot of Kemetic understanding versus religious understanding. Religion tend to rely on faith and beliefs, whereas in Kemet, it tends to rely on knowledge, observation, and actually knowing, getting to know something, science, really and truly, getting to know something than simply, taking a leap of blind faith and believing in something. So that's beautiful right there. Yeah, my brother broke down
so
that they are literally the principles within inside of nature, elements, forces, and also attributes as well. So go ahead, King. I know you wanted to say something.
I was going to say something. Sorry, because I've seen a comment. One brother said, "Oh, so you believe there's a creator?" And this is again, you don't believe, bro. We know there's a creator. This is what we're just talking about. We don't have to believe. We know there's a creator because we see things creating themselves in nature. We see it every day. You see it every day. Things are being created. When you get up in the morning and you make your breakfast, you're creating something. You're creating your breakfast. You're creating your atmosphere around you when you go to work. Do you know what I mean? When you're in your football team, or if you're at school and you do music, you're creating music. We see this. We don't believe it. We know that these things are happening. So of course we know there's a creator. We don't believe. That's the difference that I want to put. We know these things. There's no belief when it comes to when it comes to basic things like that.
The
Agreed.
universal principles.
Agreed, which would now lead on to the second principle of the theology part, because people generally don't, because people have this, what I call, this is my term now, this separation psychology, or the psychology of separation, right? They don't get that. So in the theology part of Kemet, God is one. So Gabs just said, you're creating your environment. Yeah. So we understand that if we create our environment and the environment is also created, and everything in the environment is interconnected. Yeah, God is one. It's a creator of all things, which continue to depend upon God or itself as the elements in a hierarchy of, you know, of, I guess, of beings. So it's like a cycle, if that makes sense. So it's like a circle. It's like, if you want to say the sun cycle, that depends on something else, and the water cycle depends on something else, and we as human beings depend on the water cycle and the sun cycle, and the animals depend on the cycle of the, I don't know, the autumn, the spring, the winter. They depend on those. So everything is encompassed in the one. Nothing is interdependent. Nothing is separate from everything that always depends on everything else. And that's what people, and that's why God, that's why the Hindu guy that you brought on the other day got it. It's the same thing in his system. He said God is one. He said everything is one. And I was like, of course it's one. It makes sense. Everything is everything. To put it another way, everything is actually everything. So some people's minds can't grasp that though. Like some people have to separate something from something else and say there is something that's higher than me that create everything, but it's not actually a part of me. Now we don't understand how something can create something that is not a part of itself. I don't understand how that's done. Do you know what I mean? If it's going to use itself, if all that we see is God, like Siraj was saying, I think that's a guy who's called Siraj, a Hindu guy. If God is one and God creates everything, then everything is also part of that God, and God is everything, a part of everything else. If that makes sense.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So you just literally broke down, you was literally gotten into the third part. So far we've broken down the very first one, which is Gnosis, which is knowledge, which is knowing thyself, knowing the universe, knowing the God or gods. Then we broke down the theology, which is God is one and the creator of all things, and all such things continue to depend upon God as elements in a hierarchy of beings. And then now we're going on now to the cosmogony, okay, which really and truly you kind of broke down the end part of it right there. Let me just read it out though, because we've got it all here. Over here in the Kemet school of thought, we do things. We've got something called a catechism, okay. So where you might see us reading certain things out is because, we literally have got a catechism. When somebody asks us a question, we have the response for it in a catechism form. So here it goes. Here it says, second in this hierarchy after God, which is, we just mentioned, himself, comes the intelligible world and then the sensible world. So the intelligible world is the things to do with your thoughts, the attributes, the principles. These things are abstract, okay? These things are, dwell in the world of intelligence rather than in the world of the sensible. The sensible is the world of the senses, the things that you can physically touch, feel, see, etc., taste, experience. These are the sensible world. So we delineate between the intelligible world, the sensible world, and that the creative and beneficent powers, okay, of God literally flows through the intelligible and sensible realm into the sun, okay? And the sun, which is the demiurge, okay? The demiurge around which revolves the 8 different spheres, which are the 8 different spheres. We're talking about the fixed stars. We're talking about the different planets as well. And then we're also talking about Earth, okay? These are the different spheres that actually have an interaction with us in this solar system, okay? These are the things that have an interaction with us. And then from these different spheres depend the energies, okay? So these energies, and from these energies, man. So, okay, so the different spheres, the sun releases a particular energy, the moon releases a particular energy, the different planets releases certain energies, the different fixed stars, which are the constellations, wherever you were talking about Gemini, with going into Taurus, from Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, etc., they release a particular amount of energy on us as man, okay? And we depend upon these energies as well. And then also, we are, as men, are a microcosm of the whole of creation. So we are a microcosm of the macrocosm itself. Thus, everything is a part of God, and God is in everything. His creative activity continuing unceasingly. All things are one, and the pleroma of beings is indestructible. All right. So I know, my brother, this is your thing right here. This is your thing to do with the energy, you know, that everything is one. We're all part of the one, you know, like this is it right here. I should be start bringing out my sacred wisdom of Tahuti, the Kabbalion that breaks all of that down. Let me bring this out for those people who don't know. Let me to back up what you're saying in a minute. So I don't know if you want to take a breakdown on that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded more complicated than it is, and I think when me and Gary got into energy at Speaker's Corner, right, people, you know, lost their brains and they were like, oh, energy, but they soon realized that Einstein said it, and Einstein said E equals mc squared. What does that mean? Everything's energy, bro. Energy, matter, energy, interchangeable. Everything that we know of is that. And so when you, quote unquote, if we go back up to the creed, get to know the universe, it's about getting to know these different energies also. You have to get to know the energies, understand the energies that work for you, understanding the ones that don't work for you, because there are many different ones. We all know. I say I can read people's energy. If someone steps into a room, I can kind of get a reading of their energy. They don't even have to say anything, and most humans can. And it's that kind of stuff. Everybody brings an energy with them. Everything that is quote unquote conscious brings an energy with it. So yeah, the best way that I describe it is everything is energy and energy is everything.
Perfect. I was going to grab something here. And for those of you who know about the ancient Egyptian words or cosmogony in terms of the different beings itself, that would literally be the atom. Atom is the all. Everything comes from the all and everything will return back to the all as well. But we'll get into that another time when we need to go a little bit deeper into this thing. So again, family members, let me just take a quick break. I want to know, let me know if you are enjoying the show so far. If you are enjoying the show, come on, man, give me some thumbs up. I need to see the responses. So far, we've got 42 likes and we have a few negative individuals. We started silencing them out because they're not even talking about anything which is pertaining to this so far. So let us know if you love what we're doing, if you are a supporter rather than a hater to this particular show, hearing what my brother GABZ is breaking down, hearing what Sarah's been breaking down, hearing what we've been going through. Let me know and give us some likes, please, people. If you've got any questions as well, just literally tag Titans TV and then post your questions or comments up, okay? So I can definitely see it and read it and then get it out for you. Shouts to my Siki brothers in the chat as well. Shouts to my RBG family who's here as well. Shouts to my Kemetic community who's in the building as well. I see you, family. I see you. Let me get it going. It's all energy. That's right. It's all energy, baby. All right. Lady Divine says here, what books would you recommend for brothers and sisters who want to seek more knowledge on Kemet? You know what? You're jumping the gun, sister. We're going to get into see that. I love that. I love the enthusiasm. And I love that. So we're going to go into that a little bit later on. Others being people saying, yep, we need to get Gary on here as well. Kalam, ask Gabs and Sarah, can you break down this question? If God is everything and in everything, is God in toilet? Love to hear your perspective. So yeah, we're definitely going to do that. I think we're going to leave that more to the end of the show because we don't want to get sidetracked just right now. We're going to get into this. We're definitely going to get into this. So we've broken down now. Let's go through again. We've gone down into Gnosis. We've gone down into theology. We've gone into cosmogony. What is the fourth thing that we need to be breaking down right now? What is the fourth thing that binds all of us together?
Go on, Gabs. Gabs trying to stay silent on me.
Oh snap! Sorry, I didn't even unmute my mic. You know, where we at? I think the next bit that we're onto Ancestry.
That's right.
Correct.
Ancestry. I thought, hey, Sarah, I thought this was you, my brother. I thought you love the Ancestry, G.
All right, let me go.
Do you know what? Look, do you want me to tell you why? I think the reason why this would be good for you to break down. Do you know why? Because I've been looking in the chat already, and people keep that Marshall Mathers guy. I've seen it. He said it early on in the show. He keeps bringing up, oh, but how can we talk to people that think that they talk to their ancestors and da-da-da-da, Sarah? This is the question that everybody keeps throwing out about you and his ancestors. So you need to be the one to break this down
All right.
to make these people understand, bro.
All right.
Do you know? Wait,
Go
before you even do that, yeah, it was funny, you know, because we was at Speaker's
Yeah.
Corner, okay, and they let something slip. They let
Oh,
something slip, you know, about the ancestors, yeah,
oh, buddy.
because they always want to talk about what is it, you know, these Kemetics do, but at the same time, they speak to their own ancestors, and their own ancestors, according to them, according to one of their Sahih collections of hadiths, also responds and communicates back to them. All right. So I'm going to read something here for you from Abu Dawood, Sahih al-Abani. Okay. You're going to be shocked on this one. You're going to be shocked. So this is definitely for Marshall Mathers, for those people talking about communicating with ancestors. Yeah. It says here, then the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, there is not one of you who sends his greetings upon me except that Allah returns the soul to my body in the grave, and I return his greetings by saying salam, basically. And this is reported by Abu Huraira, Abu Dawood, Sahih al-Abani. So these Muslims, you know, at the end of all of their prayers and all them things there, they always say Sallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they always, you know, when they mention the Prophet's name, they say Sallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And especially on a Friday, okay, Allah now returns the Prophet's soul to his body in the grave, and he now says Assalamu alaikum wa salam back to them. Imagine that. All this time they're talking about communicating with the ancestors, but them themselves actually communicate with the ancestors. It's funny, you know. It's funny. I find it hilarious. And I brought this up several times, you know, where, you know, even the Prophet himself, you know, now goes up into, you know, has a mirage, goes up and speaks to Moses and all the different ancestors who've done past and have good communications with them. Moses intercedes with them, bargains off how many prayers that they should do. But yet they have a problem with communicating with the ancestors when their prophet does it, and their prophet even tells them to do it to him, and that he will even correspond back to them whilst he is in the grave. It's funny. It's funny. But anyways, I digress.
So we're talking about Isfet again, right? Lies.
Yeah.
Seeds. Yeah, we're talking about Isfet, and we're talking about destroying that. But anyway, let's keep moving. We venerate the ancestors and give reverence to the Black land and its people. Why? First of all, why? Without our lineage genetically, you and I and GABZ wouldn't even be having this conversation. Okay? First of all, recognizing that you come from a lineage and you would not be able to even speak without that lineage. Okay? It's part of our reason why we revere. Okay? We understand the ones that have come before us and their significance into us being who we are. I said this at Speaker's Corner one time in a debate before. My genetics are not mine. My genetics are theirs, okay? I am sitting here in front of you as a man. However, my genetic code goes back, okay? And I share these genetics with them, and they share them with me. So when you are speaking to me, you are speaking to Sarah as me, but you are also, or I am also, the embodiment of them. I'm the embodiment of them. Without them, I wouldn't even be speaking to you. And so to revere your ancestors, okay, and to give them, just give them veneration and understand that they are the reason why you are here is part of not even just Kemetic. Well, I say Kemetic. You can go to the Native Americans. They revered their ancestors. You can go to most indigenous countries or people of indigenous groups of a country, and they will have some kind of ancestor reverence because they realized that that's where they came from. So it's not a new thing. How do I communicate with my ancestors, right? Because people have got a real problem about that. If you exist within the world of separation, and these things are bad, and there's this thing called a jinn, and this thing called shaitan, and this thing called this, you will superimpose your philosophy, your religious philosophy, on someone who does not adhere to it. Okay? So when I communicate, when I go into my meditation state, and I communicate. It's a personal experience that I have as a person, okay? And the entities that I communicate with are my ancestors. That is my belief. Now, that is not a requirement to be a Kemetic. You have to understand. Meditation and communication with your ancestors on a meditational level is not a requirement to be a Kemetic. That is my own personal thing that I do. We venerate our ancestors and give reverence to them. That is part of the Kemetic belief. But me communicating with them in a meditation state is part of my own individual, let's say, system that I have for myself. It's the best way I could have broken it down. Kalam, you might want to go in.
Yeah. Well, you dealt with it basically, you know, in terms of let me just go into it quickly, which is ancestry. We venerate the ancestors. That's number one. Like, we have to venerate our ancestors. You know, if, for those who are even stuck with inside of the Abrahamic religions, believe that the second commandment that, you know, was given to them is to honor your mother and your fathers for your days to be long. That's just standard practice, you know, standard practice, honoring them. Different cultures have different ways of honoring their forefathers or their ancestry tree. It depends upon you. There's different ways you could honor your ancestors or venerate your ancestors. Some people simply, you know, in Kemet as well, just literally pronouncing their name keeps them alive. Okay, it keeps them alive within inside of the society itself, or the culture, or the family basis itself, because you're remembering them. You're bringing them back into your memory itself. So, for example, a lot of these Arabs and other people, these different people, they don't simply just have an ancestry tree that they've written down somewhere, like Europeans would do. They'll have the ancestry tree. They can trace themselves back 5, 6, 10 different generations and so forth. No, they literally, you know, say, Ra, my name is Kalam ibn al-Hadi, ibn al-Mahdi, ibn al-Sadi, ibn Katobi, ibn Fahim, ibn Didin, and so forth and so forth and so forth, where they're literally recalling every single one of their ancestors' names. Okay, and then even upon that, giving you a biography of those different people and telling stories of those different people, keeping the ancestors alive via your name, via their names, via their memories, and so forth. So these are the different ways where you venerate your ancestors. Okay, and also, okay, I don't want to go too much deeper into the veneration part, because when you learn and you get into the spiritual side of things, you can now actually learn about the different ways to venerate your ancestors and call upon them as well. So that's something that's completely separate in terms of the spiritual aspect of it. Then the next part of it is we give reverence to the Black land and its people. Okay, we all have to acknowledge that somewhere down our ancestry, even if you're white, even if you're Asian, even if you're Chinese, okay, your ancestry goes back to the Black land. Whether it's in Ethiopia, whether it's in West Africa, wherever it is, your ancestry ties yourself back in there. And we simply give our reverence and respect to those people over there. For example, the Khoisan people, okay, that we're all supposedly are related to. We have to show our reverence and respect for them, because they were the individuals that if they weren't around, we would not be here. It's just simple as that, just giving your respect for them. The simple way we talk about the cosmogony, and we also talk about the, you know, the hierarchy of beings. We literally go back to that hierarchy and we give thanks to those individuals, you know, in the hierarchy of beings of coming here. So most people jump to Allah or Yahweh as being the creator, but completely skip their mother and father and their ancestry for actually giving them that life itself. So we're simply saying, give reverence, give respect to those people, because without them and without that location, you wouldn't be here today. It's just that simple itself. So that's that. I know we've touched on that. We definitely have touched on that. And then the next part is the pedagogy. Okay, the pedagogy. So the pedagogy now, for those people who don't actually understand Greek or don't understand, you know, these type of words, pedagogy literally means, which means a child or boy, and goji or gog literally means to lead. So how are you led? How are you being educated? Basically, it's our guidance system. Okay, what system do we use to guide ourselves? So most people, they have their own guidance systems, but we have our own guidance systems. And our guidance system is derived from the Medu-Neter. Medu-Neter literally means divine speech or nature's expressions, okay? So we guide ourselves via nature's expressions, followed by our prophets, or which will be considered our high priest, our priests, our effective ancestors, our sages, and our scholars as well. And all the ancient records that's contained in the temples, the tombs, the tablets, the pyramids, the papyruses, and scrolls as well. These are the different things that we utilize to guide ourselves. It's kind of three parts. There's literally three parts to our guidance. We use nature's expressions. That's number one. Then we go into the people form, okay, that have learned nature's expressions very well, okay? So that's our prophets, our priests, our scribes, our effective ancestors, all sages, scholars, etc. Those are that's the second stage. Then we got the third stage, which is the written records that these individuals have left behind for us. Usually we find them on the temples, the tombs, the tablets, the pyramids, papyruses, etc., etc., etc. This is where we find the literal written record of those things. I don't know if we want to go into much more detail with that, because I know we're running very short of time, but we could go into detail. Let's see. Nope, there's no necessary to go into detail. I think that is pretty much clear as possible. And then the sixth thing now. So we've now gone into, so far we've touched upon 5 different things. We've touched upon 1, which is Gnosis, which is knowledge. 2, which is theology. What we adhere to in terms of deity or God or the grand architect of the universe. Number 3, we're talking about cosmogony. What is our relationship with the cosmos, with the universe? How do we conceptualize the universe itself? Number 4, okay, we then talked about our ancestry, okay, how we respect, revere our ancestors and venerate them as well, which is should be a universal principle. Everybody should be showing respect to their mother and father, and to their grandmother and grandfathers, and their great grandmothers and grandfathers, and etc., etc., etc. Then we got into the 6th principle, which we're talking about. The 5th principle, which we're talking about, our guidance system, our pedagogy, how we are led itself. Now we're going into the 6th principle itself, which is ethics. Ethics. That is our 6th principle, which is ethics. So our moral compass is literally guided by the principles and precepts of Ma'at. Okay, so Ma'at, yet again, we're talking about is truth, justice, balancement, harmony, etc., etc., etc. And these different principles are actually codified in what we consider to be called the 42 laws of Ma'at, or the 42 negative confessions, or the 42 admonitions. Has various different titles or epithets that goes with it. Did you want to talk upon that, or should I go in on that? You let me know.
You go in.
Go in, bro.
All right. So, for example, right over here, we have, a phenomenal piece of work right here. For those people who don't know, this is Molena Kurenga. Okay. My brother has actually brought this up. Molena Kurenga is an author. My brother brought it up before, which is the Hosea that he wrote as well. He's also the founder of, the African tradition that takes place during Christmas time, which is called Kwanzaa. Okay, so this is one of our effective ancestors, and he's actually codified some of the ethics within side of the Ma'at itself. So this is Ma'at, the moral ideal in ancient Egypt. Another great book as well to actually learn about our ethics as well is Theophile or Benger's African Philosophy as well. He goes into some details as well. If you want a codified book from our scholars within this day and time, but if you actually wanted to find out more about this information from its original source material itself, and you're able to comprehend those things, you can simply go into the declarations of virtues, the declarations of innocence. You can go into the Seba'it, teachings. You can go into the pyramid text and the coffin text. Okay, there's various different literatures within inside on instructions and the contemplations as well. There's various different texts within inside of ancient Egypt that literally expresses the concept of ma'at, of truth, justice, righteousness, etc., etc., etc. These were instructions how to instruct your soul as how to be the best person you can be by following the principles and precepts of ma'at, of truth, justice, reciprocity, balancement, harmony, abundance, life. All of these great principles here is now codified within in terms of instructions. Then it is also codified, which we did to codify it ourselves in terms of human beings. We codified it in terms of these are the things that we do, not the things that we should not do. So within inside of religion, okay, you have commandments of thou shalt not do these things. Okay, in Kemet, it's completely different. We don't have things that you shouldn't do. We are first taught how to be, okay? Not how not to be. We are now taught how to be, how our ethics should be, how our morals should be. Once we're properly trained in ethics and morals, there's no way possible we should be able to fall into Isfet, into doing wrong, into doing evilous things, into doing lies, into doing deceits. Because as long as ma'at literally walks and lives in your heart and you breathe ma'at 100% of the time, there's no way that you should be doing Isfet or breaking laws or commandments. So at the end of the day, to the end of our lives, we read out these 42 negative confessions, which is literally saying, I have not done Isfet, I have not lied, I have not stolen, I have not made anybody cry, I have not oppressed anybody, I have not beat anybody, I have not done all of these different things, I have not taken food offerings from the children, from the ancestors, from the deity, etc., etc., etc. So we already knew what to do and what not to do based upon our morals and ethics, based upon ma'at, and we just literally spoke it out for everybody else to know that we have not done those things, that we have no desire to do those things, because we walk and live and breathe by ma'at. Is there anything else that you wanted to jump on in? Or we clear?
we clear. That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful.
Trust.
Perfect. And then we've got our seventh, okay? Our seventh foundational building blocks, okay, that literally builds up what I consider to be called the Jed pillar. Let me see if I can do this real quickly for those people who know about the Jed. So we have this right here. We have this as a principle, okay? We have the Jed pillar here as a principle. These are the different things that makes us stable in ourselves. Okay, and these are the different things that makes us stable, the 7 different things that makes us stable, and that which stands right at the base, right here, right at the base, I would say, is called the eschatology. Somebody can read out the eschatology and give us a breakdown of eschatology.
Go on, guys. You going to it, guys?
Yeah, so the eschatology. So we hold that there will be a day of standing where the deceased will be assessed by a tribunal of judges and weighed upon the scales of ma'at. And if proved true of voice, will be immortalized in the hereafter as an Ankh or an effective ancestor. So, was you going to say something?
That's right. Sorry, did you want to say something on that?
No. There's gonna be a lot of questions after that one.
I know.
Trust me.
You know what? You don't say that you don't have no beliefs. That's a belief right there.
What do you mean the day of standing? What do you mean that they will be held as a tribunal of judges?
Yeah.
You can break. You can break that down, though, Kalam. You can break that down. You can break that down.
Definitely. So again, for those of us, let's see. Can I show it to you? I think I've showed it before on here, but I'm going to try to pull up something via like Google. Let's get a nice little picture of it. See if we can get something up so we can actually kind of speak through this so people can get an awareness of what is actually taking place as well. Let's see if I can share my screen for those people out there. Let us go. So I'm actually sharing right now. This is actually one of our great instruction manuals, or sebait, or one of our great affective ancestors. Okay, and you know, there was a process for you now to become an akhu, or an effective ancestor, in the hereafter, so to speak. And hopefully, I'm trying to find, there is a scene where actually where you get to see it, but I'm not actually finding it right now. So I'm just going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it to you. So basically, in ancient times, what would actually take place is there would be an occasion when you're finally going to get buried, or finally going to be housed in your tomb. Okay, finally being housed in your tomb. And then what takes place, I don't know if you can see this here, this right here takes place, where now your sarcophagus, okay, is raised up to the living perpendicular, and there is an opening of the mouth ceremony that takes place, okay, which is basically for your ba to return to your body, so to speak. Now this is all symbolic, okay, this is all symbolic for those people that know, okay. And at this point right now, okay, before you're even interred inside of your burial itself, there is a process where 42, okay, assessors or judges, okay, now have to be present. And if anybody, okay, if anybody has any grievances against you, if anybody brings up any grievance against you, such as you have stolen from them, you've defrauded them, you've molested them, you have oppressed them, anything like that, guess what happens? Guess what happens? You yourself aren't able to be interred inside of your tomb. You aren't allowed to be buried. You have to be held accountable by your peers, by your community, by your society, that you yourself cannot become an akhu, an effective ancestor. You cannot be a person that is revered in the hereafter. You're a person who cannot, their names should not be remembered, should not be spoken out loud. Okay, you are now somebody who should be disregarded. Okay, so for example, we have our personal akhus. We have people like Dr. Ben, that we know that Dr. Ben has, through his career and his moral upstandingness, okay, he has lived a harmonious and a virtuous life, and we interred him very nicely. We performed certain sacred rituals and rites over him at his burial itself, and we allowed him to continue, okay, as the community here on earth. We allowed him to continue to be remembered, his books to continue to live on, his information to continue to inspire us. Then there is other individuals within inside of the community that may have started off doing great works, but guess what? They're now convicted of fraud. They're now convicted of child molestation. They're now convicted of murder. They're now convicted of rape and all these different things here. And guess what happens to that individual? They cannot live on effectively in the hereafter with us. Their names shan't be remembered anymore. Their works that they might have written up shan't be utilized to educate our children anymore, because they now have to be discarded, because they now fell into Isfet. They now have become devoured by death itself. Okay, they allow death to overtake their soul, therefore overtake their body. Therefore, they're completely discarded away from us as a community to be held in living memory. So that for us is our day of standing, where we are now assessed by truth and justice and reciprocity and balancement, etc., etc., etc. And only until we are proven to be ma'acheru, true of voice, okay, only when we've been proven to be true of voice are we now allowed to be interred and be remembered as somebody who actually gave us effective works. And then we are now immortalized, where we are continuously being remembered, etc., etc., in this plane. When we get into the spiritual side of our schools and our teachings now, you can start to see what takes place on the spiritual realm. But on the physical realm of what things that we can know and prove to you here and now, this is what we're teaching.
So, brother,
My brothers, I don't know.
brother,
Yeah, go ahead.
so I was just waiting for you to finish. This is a very important bit. I just want to add some bits onto this. Could you do it? There's gonna be a lot of screen sharing. Could you please go back to that that scene with the weighing of the heart scene.
All
Just
right,
quickly,
let me try to get it.
because I want to
Let
break
me get
down some stuff and just show the people something to make them understand.
Okay. So
Okay.
this one.
Can you just zoom in? Yeah, just zoom into the picture there with where you got the scales. All right. So as you can see, I want people to look here. You can see this is the scales of my art here.
Hold on, let me just make sure.
Oh, yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. As the people can see, this is the scales of my art here. This is what we was talking about earlier when we was talking about my art and the order. I just wanted the people to see it in the original, in the glyph form. Yeah. So you see the ma'at scales, you see the heart and the feather being weighed. So I just wanted to show that. Also, brother, if you can you now go to that picture that you put up of the deity ma'at with the wings, the goddess picture. So here you see it again here.
There.
So this is the female black goddess ma'at, the same with the representing the scales of truth and balancement. You see the heart there and the feather. Now, brother, can you go into Google and can you just type in court symbols of justice? Whoa, go to images.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, what do we see here?
We
As you
see
can
the
see in the
scales.
pictures.
We see
Okay,
the
you see
woman.
this. Okay, now can you click on one of them pictures there with the woman holding the scale, please? Mm, We're gonna learn something today. So as you can see, so what I'm trying to make people understand is I'm showing you the original, and now we're showing you the after. Because as you can see here, now you have a European-looking Greek woman holding the same scales of justice. The same thing that the ancestors was talking about in Kemet and what we've been practicing, you can see it through the court systems. And look, they represent it by showing you the woman holding the scales. The only thing is that you don't see no heart and no feather being weighed on them scales. But the reason why I'm showing you this here is also to make sense that the court system is basically like another representation of the weighing of the heart, the weighing of the heart ceremony in Kemet. Because what happens? You are brought to trial. Docs. There is a judge. There's also a person who is sitting there recording what is happening in the court session. There is a collection of people on the side that they called what are they called? What are they called again?
The jurors.
The jurors, and those are the same jurors that you saw, the 42 jurors, but you still have the jurors who are listening to what's happening. Yeah, and then also you have the barristers and the lawyers who are now speaking and going through the whole case. You see what I'm saying? And then the jurors have to decide whether the person is guilty or not guilty. And if they're found guilty, they are taken away to either hell, which is a prison bars, or you are taken to heaven, which is freedom, away from that system. So I'm just showing you the correlation between the same ceremony. So just in case people think it's that's a bit spooky, that's weird. I'm just showing you where in the physical realm you can see that thing being played day to day, daily. Do you see what I'm saying?
Brother
And you
Gab.
can see. So go on, brother.
Nah, that's a good breakdown. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I'm telling you. So these are the things that I want to show people to make people understand. When you're dealing with Kemet and you're dealing with history, there's so much things that you can see in the modern world where people have taken things from the mystery systems, taken things from our philosophy and our culture, and practicing it today. Do you see what I'm saying? That's all I wanted to show, my brother.
The deeper, sorry, let me just continue. And also, just a piggyback, the deeper you get into Kemet, the more you realize that also the Abrahamic religion stole from Kemet also to make their religions. You have to understand, I think people need to understand, and I'm so glad that we're putting it out there. People need to understand that the oldest universities, the oldest places of learning, the oldest libraries, the oldest spiritual systems, the oldest spiritual texts in stone were in Africa. Okay. And so you cannot write a book. You have to understand, this is the place of learning. Everyone came to the Nile Valley to learn. I'm talking about ancient times. If you were to create a religion during that time, or if you were to create a spiritual system during that time, and people asked you where you got your training from or your teaching from, if you didn't mention the Nile Valley, you would not be believed, because everybody knew that if you're not going to the Nile Valley to learn, you don't know anything, because that is where the greatest teachers were. Where it's like Oxford, each one to Oxford University. Okay, it's like if there's only Oxford University and we know all the best stuff comes out there, somebody comes and says, oh, I am a so-and-so, they can be like, where'd you study? And if they're like, if you didn't mention Oxford, it's like, well, what are you really talking about? It's the same thing with the Nile Valley. The religions, the philosophies, even down to Freemasonry, down to what GABZ is talking about, the justice system, down to the medical system, it all took from the Nile Valley. And the deeper you get into it, the more you'll know.
So I was just going to add, because there was a brother, one person just posted in the chat saying, Gabs, just because it's copied, it doesn't mean it's true. But that wasn't my point that I was trying to show. The point that I was trying to show is that you can see that there are people, that are taking, you know what I mean, the practices that we had in the land of Kemet and using it today. That's all I was saying. I'm just showing you the correlation between the two. I'm showing you the ancient times, which the brother put up in the papyrus, and in the papyrus on the Way in the Hearts, and I'm showing you now the court systems. This is what the symbols they're using it. I didn't say whether this one's true because it's copied and then words didn't come out of my mouth. I'm just showing you the similarities and where it's coming from. That's all, brother.
All right. So you know what? We've broken it down now. We've literally broken it down. These are the 7 different foundational building blocks and principles that everybody who subscribes to Kemet actually ascribes to. Okay, especially those of us over here in the UK. Okay, in our community itself. In our Kemetic community, this is what we subscribe towards. Okay, again, let's just name out the 7 things. The 7 things, which is Gnosis, knowledge of self, knowledge of the universe, knowledge of the God or nature. We also subscribe to the second thing, which is theology. We believe, or we know, should I say, for what I'm doing, we know that God is one. Okay. Third thing, or the deity is one, or the supreme creator, the being, whichever you want to call it, the cosmogony as well. We also know about ancestry, how we revere and venerate them as well. We also talked about the 5th one, which is our pedagogy, where we get our source of guidance and knowledge and inspiration from. The 6th thing, which is our ethics, what we live by, what our moral structures are. Then the 7th thing as well, which is eschatology, what happens to us the day we actually die, what happens to us once we leave this physical existence itself, and how are we going to be immortalized. Okay, what is our end goal, which is to know God and to become immortalized itself. So we've now gone through all of those different things, the 7 things that binds Kemet together from the ancient days. Okay, from the ancient days to the modern days. These are the 7 foundational principles and building blocks that builds up a pillar of continuity. Okay, this is what we have. All right, so before we go into anything else, because we haven't got much time at all, I actually wanted to say, I actually wanted to promote other Kemetic communities. Because there is a lot of other Kemetic communities out there, whether you are in the USA, whether you're in the UK, Europe, or Africa. I would like to actually commend you guys for doing the great works and jobs that you're doing out there. But we're over here in the UK. And I know that a lot of us out here in the UK may not actually be affiliated with a Kemetic community, because I know a lot of the Kemetic communities, they're usually held very sacred, very secret. They're underground. They're not actually, it's not very easily accessible. Okay, they're kept in the dark most of the times. all right, where only a few people know about these different organizations. But what I would love to do is to actually bring the Kemetic knowledge and the Kemetic information to the forefront of our subscribers or our people's minds, so we have something that we can hold on to, we can gravitate towards. When anybody asks us about Kemet, we know what Kemet is about. When anybody asks us about our particular belief system or grounding system, we have something that we could hold on to itself. So Sarah, I don't know if you wanted to say anything to the people, because I know you dropped something a little bit earlier on your video yesterday. Did you have anything to say?
On my video yesterday, like I said, there's been a lot of Isfet around, right? Just lately, there's been a lot of Isfet around, and whether you saw or didn't see Hijab's challenge towards me to want to have an MMA match with me, to me it was disingenuous. Because the first option was to sit down dinner. You were there, GABZ was there, and
but you know what?
Sit down. Sorry,
you know, I didn't even want to go into all of that. I didn't even want to go into
about that.
Nah, I don't want to even give anybody. I don't even want to give anybody else any day and time. To be honest with you,
what were you talking about?
I really wanted to talk about, for those of people out there who actually want to actually be part of a particular community and learn some further information. You know what I mean? It's there. For those who want to learn some further information and be part of a community that want to that type of information.
All right. No, I hear you. All right. My apologies. Wires crossed. Yes, myself, you, and GABZ are creating something. Let's say we're creating something, okay, for the people to gravitate towards. We're keeping it a little bit under wraps for the moment, but in the coming months, you guys will know a lot more about what we've got in store for you. We've got a lot of resources at our disposal, and we want to actually create something. We want to do something for our people. We want to make a positive change. And so all we're really asking is, when we put the word out, right, for the family to come and support. You know what I'm saying? You got to come and support. We put the word out and you come and support. We want to help you and we want you to help us. Do you know what I mean? So it's a community. And so you just really have to watch this space. Like I'm saying, I know it sounds a little bit vague, but trust me, there's good things coming. There's good things coming.
That's real. That's real. I was wanted to put out there as well, for those people who are interested in Kemetic information, Kemetic philosophy, Kemetic way of life, and would like to know. Furthermore, not would like to know, intrigued to know. Furthermore, not intrigued to know, love to know more. Furthermore, not even love to know, who need to know more information about Kemet, okay, holler at me, okay? Holler at me. You lot got my Facebook details down below in the description box, okay? Holler at me via Facebook. I'm sure my email address is down there as well, which is kalam@live.co.uk. Okay, that's another way, okay, that you can get to me. All you have to do is rewind the video, find out exactly what I just said, go into the description box, pull up the links, go on there, put your name in, tell me where you're from, what area you're in, and that you would like to know some more information, okay? Because we have communities around the world, okay? We've got communities around the world. We've got in America, we've got Jabari's community. We've got Mfadishi's community. We've got Baba Heru's community, Raketi Amun's community. We have some, I can name them all. Osara Set community, UK, etc., Noapians, etc. We've got so many different communities out there that if you would like to join, there are communities out there. If you're gravitating and resonating with what we're pushing out right now for our community over here in the UK and globally as well, and you like to learn that authentic Kemetic information, where you've got all of the master teachers coming together, teaching you this information, okay, get in touch down below, description box, Facebook, holler at me. inbox me, holler at me, okay? Because there is a community that's already formed. It's already formed already, okay? But now, instead of only being select members or group members, we're going to open it up where you can actually experience that authentic information from our base and our resources and ourselves as well. So please holler at us and we'll get that information out to you as well. I think that is literally everything I wanted to say. If you would like to actually join us right now, okay, so let me shut off the show and say thank you everybody for actually coming here and joining us at Talk with the Titans. This has been the Kemetic Creed. We've broken down the Kemetic Creed, what exactly do the Kemets believe in, etc., etc., etc. So I'm signing out. I've been Kalam, Sarah, and we've had GABZ. Peace.